Namaste, Harar Mahadev, and welcome to our Sunday edition of Words of Wisdom Gyan Ganga on our Virat Hindustan Sangam social media channels. And in the next 45 minutes to an hour, we'll be discussing how to achieve complete restoration of the Kashi Viswanath Mandir, the Gyan Vapi complex. We have with us, as usual, our patron president, Dr. Subramanian Swamy, and today's is the 158th episode. And I have to thank my co-host, Ramesh Swamy, and Professor Arvind Chaturvedi from Delhi for their weekly support to put out this program. And I also have to thank our social media IT team led by Ashish Shetty, Tejas Navalgul, Swaminathan, Rakesh Gadgi, Ishwar Iyer, Vishal Mehta, and Ajesh Nair for their background support as usual every week after week for this program which we beam and which is watched in about 122 countries across the globe. So we have a very important discussion today. Let us hear Swamy and Dr. Swamy, and then we'll have a discussion on the subject and what else is happening on the social media, because credit snatching or not doing anything is a common thing in India, and we'll have a lot of things we will reveal in the next 45 minutes. So, main topic, the Kashi Viswanath Gyan Vapi Mandir and the way forward and how we can restore it. Over to Dr. Swamy.
Thank you very much, Jagdish. I think I'll give a perspective first and then go straight to Kashi Vishwanath. I am I've got equal number of requests of speaking in English and speaking in Hindi. So maybe we should have one session later on only in Hindi. But at the moment, today I will speak on English because that's been the language which reaches the maximum in the country. The idea of liberating temples got serious concern when Swami Chinmayananda had convened a conference, I think, way back in 1964 about liberating temples. And over the years, the Vishwanath picked up on it, and then they began privatizing it. In the meeting called by Swami Chinmayananda, it was basically decided that there are thousands of temples which were demolished during the Muslim rule, but three of them, of the according to my estimate 40,000 demolished temples, three of them are essential to restore, and the others could be are not that essential. Why? Because the three of them that I'm going to mention, they have to be at the same spot where it was demolished, but not the others. So we can say, all right, you have, bygones be bygones, we'll build it in another plot nearby. So if there's a Ram temple, except for Ayodhya, anywhere else there's a Ram temple. There are Ram temples in Chennai, in Madras, in Tamil Nadu. There are Ram temples in Maharashtra. There are Ram temples all over the country. But these are not part of what we call as the core requirements or the core aspects of our religion. Ram Mandir, one of the three, is where Ram was born. That is the faith of the Hindu people. Now you can say, what is this? How can you go on this faith? Well, every religion is going on faith. Christ was born in Bethlehem. According to whom? Nobody saw that birth taking place, or even at the place where it was taking place. It was after 400 years after Christ had passed away, that the mother of the Roman king Constantine, that mother had a dream that in Bethlehem Christ was born. And she went and identified the place. And on that basis, in AD 400, it was discovered, it was decided to make it into a place where Christ was born. So similarly, there are many other such examples of other religions also, where there is a question of faith. And the faith is that Ram was born there, and there is no other place in India anybody has claimed it has been born somewhere else. Nor anyone has dared to say, how do you know he was born here? The faith is this. Guru Nanak said he was born here at that particular spot. Similarly, the many of the Britishers who also they also said this is widely believed it was born here. Tulsidas, who wrote Ramayana, he also identified it there. So Krishna Janmabhoomi, Ram Janmabhoomi, these two, there is a unanimity that Ram was born in Ayodhya and Krishna was born in Mathura, and these spots where they were born. Till the Ram temple construction began, in all the three places there was a mosque. Now, mosque is not a religious place. It's a place for religion, but it's not a religious place. What is the difference? Because mosque is a place where you read namaz. Namaz can be read anywhere. It can be read in your drawing room. It can be read on the road. We have seen many times big collection of people, Muslims, who are doing namaz on a special occasion on a road. You can do it in an aeroplane. Namaz is it doesn't matter where you are, you can, as long as you face yourself to the west, and you can do namaz anywhere. So what is a masjid? Masjid is a place where you can collectively sit and do it. Nothing more than that. And where is this established? It's established in our Supreme Court Constitutional Bench judgment of 1994, Ismail Faruqi versus the Union of India, where it clearly says that unless there is some special significance. Yes, Makkah Masjid, nobody can touch. Al-Aqsa Mosque, why Al-Aqsa, which is in Israel? Because many clerics say they saw Muhammad come on a horse and then go up from a rock there to heaven. So that's taken as faith. That mosque also they can claim, although they built it on Solomon's temple, on top of Solomon's temple. But there's an argument. Here there's no argument whether it is Mathura or whether it's Ayodhya, and it's certainly also in Kashi Viswanath. Kashi Viswanath is special because there are 12 places in India where Lord Shiva himself sent with the flaming flames, sent the Jyotirling. It is called Jyotirling because it comes with the flame, and established the linga at that particular place. So, of those 12 places, 11 places have been recovered. For instance, the last one to be recovered was Somnath. The only other place that is left where Lord Shiva's Jyotirling was by himself personally sent is Kashi Viswanath. It is also the place where at the next to a well, which is called Vapi in Sanskrit, Lord Shiva gave Gyan to Parvati. That is our belief. So there is a double significance for us. One is that Shiva sent the Jyotirling, and two, it is Gyan Vapi, that is the well which is there next to the temple, the then temple, is where Shiva gave, gave a abhyas, as they say, he lectured to Parvati on a variety of issues. So, therefore, it becomes something special. And Aurangzeb, in his demolition, said that this kind of belief we cannot allow, and he was the third person to destroy the temple. First was decided by the representative of Muhammad Ghori, then Sandar came and he demolished it. So the first two times the Hindus rebuilt the temple on that spot, because these people just demolished and went away. So Aurangzeb says, if I demolish this temple, then after I go away, the Hindus will rebuild it. So the only way I can do it is by violating the Quran itself, by building it where the temple was. And that's why you see parts of the temple, they were in a hurry to build it, and they used whatever they could from the temple and to make the masjid. So it is against Islam to build a masjid on the place where there was another religion's thing. You may demolish that, don't recognize any other religion, but you should not build a masjid on that. That is in Quran itself. So the Gyan Vapi Masjid, as it's called, is illegal from the Muslim law itself. So I begin by saying there is nothing sacred about any of the masjids in India. They are built for enabling large crowds to come and assemble and read namaz there. So whether it's Babri Masjid, whether it's Krishna Mandir Masjid, Krishna Janam Sthan Masjid, or it is Kashi Viswanath area built masjid, Gyan Vapi Masjid is popularly called. We they are only for reading namaz. Namaz can be read anywhere. Now take in Ayodhya. This is something I argued in. What was my contribution in Ayodhya? That they were all along, whether they were at the level of the Allahabad High Court, and then it came to Supreme Court, where Supreme Court just didn't do anything for 7 years. Why? Because it was a property dispute. There was a Hindu group which said this temple area belongs to us, and we want to rebuild a temple there, but we are saying this is our property. The Muslims said we have been now 500 years there, so therefore it is our property. So they went on for 26 years arguing this in Allahabad High Court, and of course it was a bench of the Allahabad High Court, which is in Lucknow, and finally the 3-judge bench said by a majority that yes, we think that the Ram Mandir should be rebuilt, but 1/3 of the area will be given to the Muslims to build a mosque, and 2/3 of the area will be given to the Hindus to build a temple. Both sides didn't agree, so they came to the Supreme Court, lying there, and the Supreme Court said, "What is the point? It's a property dispute." I mean, there's a privately, the judges were telling me, it's a property dispute. We have to partition it. All property disputes end up being partitioned, except in extraordinarily difficult cases, rare cases. So therefore, we will, let's the things cool down, that sort of thing. Ashok Singhal was a person who had come to me when I was not in good terms with BJP. As you know, that when the Jansang, of which I was a member and also a member of parliament, merged with other parties to form Janata Party. And then Mr. Vajpayee decided that he would divide the Janata Party, create a new party, not only of Jansanghis, but socialists like Sushma Swaraj, George Fernandez, and all these people came in. And they were all socialists. They joined. There were Congresso people who joined, Sikandar Bakht and things like that. So he created a new party called Bharatiya Janata Party with Gandhian socialism as the ideology. He rejected Hindutva and all that stuff and the Jansang ideology. So I did not join because Mr. Vajpayee didn't want me. That was one. But more importantly, I had joined Jansang to work on this Hindutva principle and to bring about a renaissance of Hinduism. And I found suddenly the party has become, even in the Janata, there were strong Hindus there. For example, Moraji Desai. Moraji Desai was a very strong Hindu. And he spoke more or less our language. So in the Janata Party, it was easy to adjust. But BJP's ideology, which Janata Party did not have, Gandhian socialism, we are neither Gandhians nor we believe in socialism. But BJP adopted that, and in the elections of 1984, BJP got only 2 seats. At that time, Ashok Singhal, worried about the situation, he started the Ram Mandir movement. And this Ram Mandir movement began to take traction. He said, no, there is a temple there that was there, and Guru Nanak says there was a temple there, and also mentions that how Muslims were going around, and that Tulsidas also said that there was a temple. A lot of people said that. The British have recorded that some representative of Humayun or Babur came and blew the temple up or destroyed the temple and built a masjid. It was called Babri Masjid, not for Babur. And please don't get offended, but I have checked all the records and I'm telling you something very few people know. It was named after a young boy of 7 years old called Babri. His name was Babri. And what was his specialty? He was a homosexual partner of Babur. And Babur was in love with him. So therefore, when his commander-in-chief, whoever it was, I forget, Qadri or some name like that, wanted to know what name to give it, he said, give it Babri Masjid. And this is all recorded. I mean, I don't want to offend people, feel bad, but facts are facts, which must be known. So Babri Masjid was built on a masjid, on a temple, and there are records of it. Krishna Janmabhoomi also the same. But there is one problem with the Krishna Janmabhoomi problem. Now, Jagdish Shetty knows, he was here yesterday in Delhi with me, when a big delegation came from Mathura saying, we want you to come to Mathura and take over this movement, because we know you can, through courts and other ways, and convince people that we have a case. I told them I'll certainly come, and I will certainly sometime in June, if it's not too hot, or otherwise July, of course, it'll be a lot of rain. I will go to Mathura again. I've been there before, and sort of create a new committee. I'm already chairman for the Gyan Vapi temple, when all the sadhus and sadhus had come together. Large number, maybe 2,000, 3,000 came together in Mathura once and took a decision that the liberation of the Gyan Vapi temple spot would be led by Subramanian Swamy as chairman and commander-in-chief of the sadhu movement. So my name is also Swamy, so people may confuse. They know, okay, he's also a sadhu, but I'm not a sadhu. In Tamil Nadu, Swamy is a very common name. There's a Narayan Swamy sitting there with us, Ramesh. So Swamis are very common. Only mine is a very unusual combination, Subramanian Swamy. Very rarely people have, mostly Rama Swamy and Krishna Swamy, and that sort of Swamis is there. Narayan Swamy. So I'm already in charge of that, and so I will now spend the next 10 minutes on that, and then let us have a discussion. So Mathura is also very clear, but there's one problem there. In 1967, 68 or something like that, maybe 66, some rich businessmen came together and approached the Muslim clerics and said, let's have a compromise. We will build in one part of the area, we'll build Krishna temple, you build your mosque in the other. I mean, you reduce the size of your mosque to one area. So a written agreement was signed. Now it had no sanctity because they are businessmen, and they directly negotiated. They didn't ask any sadhu, sannyasi, anybody. But those days, hardly anybody knew anything about Hindutva and things like that. So everybody went along with it. But the problem is the spot where the Hindus believe Krishna was born is where the masjid stands. We cannot concede that. We don't mind masjid and mandir on the same side, you see. We want that Krishna Janma Bhumi should have a Krishna temple. And you can have, we don't mind, if the Muslims may object, but we don't mind if there's a next door masjid. But the Muslims saying no, this agreement is violation. I'm sorry, it's an illegal agreement. It's against our precepts, it's against our concepts, and it has no sanction of the court or the government or anybody else. It's some private individuals coming together and having this. So I can get around that. In Kashi Viswanath, I have a problem which I also have for Mathura. That is, in 1991, Narasimha Rao brought an act, and that act is called 1901. About temples which existed on 15th August 1945 shall remain except for Ram Mandir. Ram Mandir is an exception, but otherwise places of worship Act 1991. That means it's a Parliament passed act. It's not a constitutional act. It's not part of the Constitution. It's a Parliament act of Parliament. in which it said that except for Ayodhya, henceforth any temple, masjid, church, etc., if it was standing on the 15th of August 1947, then there is no question of touching it. And Narasimha Rao, he's a very clever artist. He thought, he was very keen to build the Ram Mandir. I'll tell you one thing, whatever contribution I might have made, Ashok Singhal might have made, but the two people who really lit the fire for Ram Mandir, in fact, not only Ram Mandir, even for Krishna, one was Rajiv Gandhi, who first opened the tala for which was put there on the Babri Masjid, in which people had quietly gone in 1949 and put Ram Murtis and so on, and all namaz stopped there, and it became a temple de facto. And in fact, I was a minister who rewarded the sessions judge. The previous government of VP Singh had actually been very harsh on him, didn't let him get a promotion to become High Court judge. But then when I became with Chandrasekhar, the law minister, I made him a judge, for which he was extremely, he was very, very emotional. Jagdish was my special assistant at that time in the law ministry, and he knows about this because he was there. So anyway, Rajiv Gandhi did two things. One, he got the lock opened, so people went rushing in, and it became a temple, except that it looked like a masjid. And second thing he did was, on television he showed a serial on Ramayana. I don't think you young people who were not born in 1986 or 85 or were not grown up enough would remember, but you ask your parents. On Sunday, every Sunday, there was one part of the Ramayana, and then later on Mahabharata, which was shown in succession. First Ramayana was completed, and then after that Mahabharata was there. It was done by Rajiv Gandhi. His party was against it. His wife was against it. But he said, no, I will do it. And he did it. And that completely changed the attitude of the people. For the first time, they saw in detail, in Shuddh Hindi, what Ramayana was about. People who didn't know these details, they all came to know the details. And therefore, a big fervor came for both Ramayana and for Krishna, for Rama and Krishna. And then, Rajiv Gandhi went to the extent of allowing the Vishwa Hindu Parishad to put a Shilanyas, the foundation of the new temple, in one corner, not where the Babri Masjid was standing, but in another corner for the purpose of building. And Ashok Singhal said, wherever it is, at least we are starting. So he cooperated, we built it. And then, of course, I was a friend of Rajiv Gandhi, and I was very encouraging. It was not my idea for it to do it. It was his idea. But I told him, you do it, and you'll be remembered in history. I'm sorry, we have not remembered him in history, but credit snatching has become a disease amongst our politicians. So that doesn't matter. It's only a matter of time. Like Ambedkar, during Jawaharlal Nehru's time, nobody even remembered Ambedkar. Ambedkar only now we are remembering. And so even Patel didn't get Bharat Ratna till Chandrasekhar came, and I was law minister. And he asked me in Hindi, he told me, अरे रिपब्लिक डे आ रहा है, किसको भारत रत्न देना है? तो मैंने आई सेड, मैं लिस्ट देखता हूँ कौन कौन को मिला है और किसको नहीं मिला. I was surprised that Sardar Patel never got Bharat Ratna. And so the Janata government of Chandrasekhar and Subramanian Swamy They gave Bharat Ratna to Sardar Patel. So anyway, I'm saying that this is how it all went. So the second person who really moved it in his Charakya style was Narasimha Rao. So he brought this 1991 Act to give a little lollipop to everybody. I, of course, was opposed to it. I said during Chandrasekhar's period, at his request, I had met Shahid Shabuddin, who was a dear friend of mine. I would like to remember him. I hope the society will remember him. He was a IFS officer who resigned and came, and he was a little, of course, he was a hothead, and he said many things, but he was practical. And on the Ram Mandir question, Babri Masjid, he said, if you can prove to me that there is a temple below, I will go and break the Babri Masjid. Parmacharya, Sri Chandrasekhara Saraswati, whom every one of us in Tamil Nadu regarded as God, living God of India, avatar of God, and he was. I mean, the kinds of things he taught me and told me and predicted for me, all this 100% came true. So one day he told me, I hear Shabuddin is your friend. You bring him along with me. Next time you come, you bring him along. The entire mutt wasn't against it. No, how can we have Shabuddin come? So Parmacharya said to them, nah, Swami knows how to deal with them. So let him bring. So I took Shahabuddin to meet him, and Shahabuddin started crying, copious tears flowing. When he saw, I asked him afterwards, what were you crying about? So he said, because I saw his face, he's God. I don't care that he's becomes Hindu, but God is God. So I mean, that is, Shahabuddin was a highly educated person, IFS, top of his class, a brilliant diplomat. And he, of course, a man of great anger. He was brought up as a communist, incidentally. Then slowly we brought him into Janata Party, and he was a general secretary of Janata Party. I was also general secretary. Chandrasekhar was president. So he and I agreed that any temple, any masjid, if it is built on a temple, is illegal according to Muslim law, and it can be broken. So the first point I want to say about Kashi Viswanath is, it is built on a temple by the admission of Aurangzeb himself. He said otherwise the Hindus will build the temple again. So he said, let's build a masjid on it. It's against Quran, that masjid that exists in Kashi Viswanath. So Kashi Viswanath, only thing that is stopping it is this 1991 Act. So I have filed a petition in the Supreme Court saying this is unconstitutional. Strike it down. Because it's by a resolution of Parliament, it's an act. An act has to be considered by the Supreme Court whether it's constitutional or not. It has never been considered. So I decided to go. And the matter was heard just before the corona. And Justice Bobde issued notice and asked the government to file a reply. Government has not filed a reply. I know the problem. The problem is that I might get the credit. There's all kinds of people who go to Modi and say, be careful, this Swami is a dangerous fellow and all that. So I think that's why. Otherwise, what is the reason for the government not to file a reply saying that this 1991 Act is not correct? Okay, you don't want me to give me credit. The Prime Minister can move a repeal bill saying that this 1991 Act is hereby repealed and pass it in Parliament. We have majority. BJP has majority in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, and the matter is over. But the Prime Minister, and he is from Varanasi, he should do it. But he is not doing it. He is resisting it. He said, no, I will not do it. and they are not even replying to my petition in the Supreme Court. They're not, one excuse after another. They don't reply, even though the court has given an order that file your counter. So let this present backlog of corona be over, and then I think from July I will start putting up pressure to declare 1991 Act as unconstitutional. The day I do that, next day, we can have the temple. I tell the Muslims, be realistic. Masjid is not an essential part of Islamic religion, except one or two. If you want to know the number of masjids which are broken by governments of Islamic countries, please go to Google and write demolition of mosques by governments, by Islamic governments or Muslim majority governments. Turkey is number one. And Erdogan has gone on record to say it's more important for us to have roads than have masjids blocking the roads. So we'll build it somewhere else. Any masjid can be built there. After all, it's the only question of where to read namaz. You can read namaz in an aeroplane, you can read it in a railway platform, you can read in an open thing, you can in a road, you can do it in your drawing room. So nobody is being denied by a masjid being shifted. You go and do it. Then they're doing it now for Ram Mandir. It's in what used to be called Faizabad, now it's called Ayodhya district. There, the Muslims are now building on the money given by the government of India. They are building a big masjid in Ayodhya district to replace Babri Masjid. That's a very cooperative thing they've done. I want them to do two more, Kashi Viswanath and Mathura. And the remaining 40,000 we will not touch. Because we can build it somewhere else. Supposing there's a Ram Mandir demolished somewhere or a Durga Mandir destroyed somewhere else. If it is not an essential part, that is, Durga didn't herself come and say, here I'm laying the foundation stone of a temple. Like in Kashi Vishwanath, the Jyotirling was planted there by Lord Shiva. By the way, Lord Shiva also gave instructions on Hindu religion to Parvati on the border of this Kashi Viswanath temple, next to a well, and the well is called Vapi, Gyan Vapi, as they say, where Gyan was given by Shiva to Parvati, and so therefore it becomes doubly sacred for us. So let me wind up by saying, we Hindus, after partitioning 1/3 of India so that Muslims can have pristine pursuit of Islamic religion, however agreed, whether you agree with them or not, because Dr. Ambedkar said let's have an exchange of population. Now it's all gone. Now we are to live with the new reality. The new reality is that 15% or 14% of Indian population is Muslim, and their DNA is the same as us, which means they are converted Muslims. Some generations, some people even can recognize who their ancestors are, Hindu ancestors. So bring them over and persuade them that for Hindu-Muslim unity, you should agree. We'll build you another masjid. People say, why? All right, because they are Hindus. We don't want to wipe out any religion. We believe all religions lead to God, except that the Hindu religion will lead you faster to God. That's the only thing extra we say. But we believe all religions lead to God. Islam says our religion or nothing. Christianity says all religion or damnation. But only religion in the world which says all religions lead to God is Hinduism. So therefore, I would urge the Muslim community, don't make this as an issue. We Hindus are not going to take it down because you don't agree. You want a riot, that's not going to be good for you either. It's bad for the country, but bad for you also. So, what are we saying? You have a masjid, but not there, a little distance away. That will help you build. That is the solution. In the meantime, I have challenged this 1991 Act. I would prefer Mr. Modi, if he has any Hindutva left in him, to go to Parliament and say this is an act which was passed without much thinking. And I, by the way, I had opposed it. I said this is wrong. I will not participate in the voting. Because I was not member of the BJP, so there is no question of my. I was Janata Party. I was in fact a great friend of Narasimha Rao. I don't want to hurt his feeling beyond a point, but I walked out, and I said I won't. And I explained that Shabuddin and I have agreed that if you can prove that there was a temple there before, he would remove the masjid himself. So that is what we should be doing. But Narasimha Rao was playing games. He brought that in, and so that he said a future generation will take care of this act. It's just an act. He said tomorrow it can be removed, it can be taken out. So he was that kind of a Chanakya. So anyway, he got his work done. I mean, he laid the foundation for the Ram Mandir to come up, and this was after the December 6th, 1992, when a mob went and demolished the masjid. So then he decided that we will not rebuild a masjid. We will build a Ram temple and we'll give the Muslims another place. So that process had begun by him. Now, today, I have to go to Supreme Court because Mr. Modi, unless we all pressurize Modi, and tell him that in 2024, we will not give a vote if you don't scrap this act. It's an obnoxious act. It's unconstitutional. And and as far as I am concerned, I will go to the Supreme Court as soon as the Supreme Court resumes after the vacation in July. I'll go and try and knock it down. Then we will get Kashi Viswanath also. So we'll get Mathura. And after that, we will not touch any other masjid in the country. This is the sum total of the strategy that I have worked out. And I think this is the most workable strategy according to me, based on my experience of dealing with the Ram temple thing, how I brought it around. In Ram temple, we were all talking about this and that, but I said, no, this is my fundamental right to pray where Ram was born, where the crores and crores of Hindus think Ram was born. It is my astha, it is my faith, and faith is part of the preamble of the Constitution. Nothing can be higher. You can't challenge faith. So that is that process. I'll get it through anyway, but it will be much better for BJP if Mr. Modi lives up to our commitment to rebuild temples, and just simply removes this article. And I think the people of Varanasi should tell Modi, this is a Varanasi question, and so please don't take us for granted. You have to remove this act, and now. With that, over to Jagdish.
Ramesh, you are Arvind. You want to start with your question, Arvind?
Yes. डॉक्टर
जरा
स्वामी,
हिंदी में बोलिए.
हाँ, हिंदी में ही बोलूंगा, क्योंकि बहुत से हमारे दर्शक इस बात की प्रतीक्षा कर रहे थे कि डॉक्टर स्वामी अपने संभाषण का कुछ अंश हिंदी में बोलेंगे, लेकिन मेरे प्रश्न के उत्तर के रूप में ही सही उनको थोड़ा खुराक मिलेगा. डॉक्टर स्वामी, आपने पूरी परिस्थिति को एक सही परिप्रेक्ष्य में प्रस्तुत किया है, और पूरे इतिहास के साथ। और जो इसका मुख्य बिंदु है पूजा स्थल विधेयक, दी प्लेसेस ऑफ वर्शिप एक्ट, उसके बारे में जो भ्रांतियां हैं, और मैं अभी देख रहा था हमारे जो दर्शक प्रतिक्रिया देते हैं कमेंट्स के रूप में, उनमें भी कुछ में शंका थी कि आपकी क्या भूमिका रही थी, क्योंकि एक आईटी सेल ने बहुत दुष्प्रचार किया है इसके बारे में, और
अंध भक्त और गंध भक्त,
और विराट हिंदुस्तान संगम ने उसका पूरी अच्छी तरह प्रतिवाद करके साक्ष्य के साथ, सबूतों के साथ ये बताया है कि
पार्लियामेंट्री रिकॉर्ड
नहीं थे। और अच्छा, तो एक तो ये हो गया। तो एक आपने जो मोदी जी से अनुरोध किया है कि वो उसको हटाएं, क्या ये हो सकता है कि जो किसान बिल जिस तरह से विड्रॉ किए गए थे, 3 किसान के कानून जिस तरह विड्रॉ किए गए थे, उन्होंने छाती पर पत्थर रख लिया और बहुत दुखी मन से, और जैसे भी है, तो ये इतना महत्वपूर्ण है हिंदुत्व के लिए कि एक रास्ता खोला जा सकता है यदि पूजा स्थल विधेयक को वापस ले लिया जाए। दूसरा, यदि मोदी जी इसको वापस नहीं लेते हैं, मोदी सरकार इसको वापस नहीं लेती है, तो क्या कोई दूसरी पार्टी या सांसद इसको संसद में अमेंडमेंट के रूप में ला सकते हैं कि इसमें कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अमेंडमेंट किया जाए और उसमें कुछ क्लॉज जो है, जहां राम मंदिर तक सीमित किया गया है अयोध्या तक, उसको काशी और मथुरा में भी जोड़ दिया जाए।
नहीं, देखिए, जहाँ तक संसद में लाने की बात है, आपको याद रखना चाहिए कि नरेंद्र मोदी नेता हैं भारतीय जनता पार्टी के संसदीय दल के, तो इसीलिए कोई भी लाएं, वोट तो नहीं मिलेगी ना, उसको पास करने के लिए मेजॉरिटी होनी चाहिए। वो मेजॉरिटी की जो शक्ति है वो तो नरेंद्र मोदी के पास है। हाँ, ये बात सही है कि ये बीजेपी ने उनको ये गरिमा दी है, ये स्थान दी है कि वो बहुमत के एमपीज की नेता हैं, और अतः वो प्रधानमंत्री हैं। तो मैं ये कहता हूँ कि इसमें कोई व्यक्तिगत करने की कोई गुंजाइश नहीं है। हाँ, व्यक्तिगत कुछ करना है तो कोर्ट में जाकर कर सकते हैं, वो तो मैं कर ही रहा हूँ। और नोटिस भी इश्यू हो गई है, सरकार को जवाब देना है, देते नहीं है, तो मुझे कहीं जाकर कोई कंटेम्प्ट नोटिस देना पड़ेगा सरकार के विरुद्ध में कि उन्होंने लापरवाही की। बट वो सब अलग है। सबसे सरल बात है, और ये स्पेशली मैं कह रहा हूं कि मोदी 2 बार जीते हैं वाराणसी, ये एक धार्मिक शहर है और काशी विश्वनाथ उसकी शान है, उसके लिए ये नहीं कर सकते क्या? और वो एक्ट सबको पता है इज अनकॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल। तो मैं ये समझता हूं कि इसमें मत जाइए कि कोई लाए पार्लियामेंट का कोई कुछ नहीं होगा, ना कोई कांग्रेस करेगी, ना कोई भी सपोर्ट नहीं करेगा। ये करना दायित्व सिर्फ बीजेपी का है, और प्रधानमंत्री के कहने पर बीजेपी अपनी दायित्व पूरा कर सकती है।
Dr. Swamy, I have one.
Yeah.
A simple question. All these underbugs and gunbugs are just jumping on you, saying that you supported this place of worship. Cannot be more stupid than that unless they go and look at the parliament records. Instead of questioning you, why can't they ask Modi to say, why didn't you withdraw this act? Matter is over.
Yeah.
Whether you opposed it, supported it, 1991 is irrelevant.
Yeah, I wouldn't pay any.
Today, all we have to do is go. All these people, instead of yelling at you, why can't they forget about the IT cell idiots? I mean, we don't have to worry about it. What about other Hindus? Why do they still have to go and do Bhajan Mandali? Instead of that, just ask Modi and say, withdraw the act. It's well within his powers. You have explained it how very clearly today. The simplest question, why bother whether you support it or not support it? It's irrelevant. What is required today is withdraw the act. Why can't he do it?
I don't know why he can't do it. Why did he take all the temples over in Uttarakhand till I went to court and got it quashed?
And he had to withdraw it.
And then he had to withdraw it. There's no alternative. So therefore, I see. I don't know what is the motivation.
I don't think there's any
And-
election coming down, Dr. Swamy, so he won't withdraw it.
No, it's not. No, the question is not of election. I don't think even an election he might do. I mean, he may be so self-confident that the Varanasi people will vote for him. But I do think that from what I have seen, the mere fact that the Sadhu Sannyasi got together and asked me to be the commander-in-chief, that there is sentiment. And it is such a big thing, Shiva himself putting a linga. I think, well, maybe if the people themselves, I'm not going to organize it because I'm a litigant in the Supreme Court. I don't want to duplicate my alternative because Supreme Court can say, why have you come now? You are doing something else outside. See, I don't want that. But I would say this, that let the people all write a letter to Modi. 1 crore letters go. You don't have to organize this. I'll ask, just give people hearing this broadcast, write a letter to Modi that please, please see that this is scrapped at the next session of Parliament. Otherwise, we'll have to reconsider voting for you in 2024.
He's always running to the courts and asking the courts to solve his problems instead of him making any decisions. It's pathetic, Dr. Swamy. I mean, no leadership. He just wants everything to go to the court. Even in the courts, they don't send a proper representative there. It is shocking what happens in courts. I mean, case in point, yesterday being Rajiv Gandhi's death anniversary, sorry to divert. It's a pattern that this government doesn't want to do everything, leave every decision to the court. Like the court decided to let go of this one of the killers of Rajiv, right? I mean, it's sorry.
No, the court let go because the government didn't file a counter affidavit.
Exactly. So that's a pattern, Dr. Swamy. This government does not want to make decisions, only jumla, or do some man ki baat and all the stuff, and not take strategic, clear decisions ever. And leave the courts to do it. If the court has to do it, why even have a parliament in that case? Let courts decide everything.
Dr. Swamy, what? Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Dr. Swamy, I know, sorry, you're commenting on Ramesh something.
No.
Okay, Dr. Swamy, what is interesting is a person who claims to be having come on the wave of Hindutva.
He's cutting in and out, Dr. Swamy. His audio got cut again.
Oh, his audio got cut.
Yeah,
okay.
he got disconnected. He's got a bad audio connection. Arvind ji, go ahead. If you ask next question.
डॉक्टर स्वामी, मैं आपसे एक और प्रश्न पूछना चाहता हूँ। अभी काशी विश्वनाथ के साथ साथ श्री कृष्ण जन्मभूमि का मामला भी सामने आ गया है और कोर्ट ने 4 महीने के अंदर उसको सुलझाने का भी प्रस्ताव किया है। ताजमहल की बात खुली है।
देखिए, मुझे आपको रोकना है इसमें। जो हुआ है वाराणसी में, जो मथुरा में हो रहा है, इसका कृष्णा जन्मभूमि या काशी विश्वनाथ मंदिर बनाने से कोई संबंध नहीं है।
नहीं, संबंध नहीं है, बिल्कुल नहीं है।
हाँ, सिर्फ इतना है, इतना है कि जो लोग कहते थे कि ये मंदिर को तोड़कर मस्जिद बनाई गई, उसके लिए सबूत मिली है, प्रमाण मिली है।
जी बिल्कुल,
इससे ज्यादा नहीं है।
हाँ ठीक है,
उसमें भी इन्होंने सब अड़ंगा लगाया ये है और सब दुनिया भर की बकवास का ये कि 1991 एक्ट का लागू होती है ना। 1991 एक्ट का कोई संबंध नहीं है इसमें।
नहीं, लेकिन मेरा प्रश्न दूसरा था। मैं कह रहा हूँ काशी है, पूरे देश में सवाल उठ रहा है, कृष्ण जन्मभूमि का सवाल उठ रहा है, ताजमहल पर सवाल उठाए जा रहे हैं, कुतुब मीनार के ऊपर सवाल उठाए जा रहे हैं। कल खबर भी आ गई थी कि कुतुब मीनार का भी एएसआई सर्वेक्षण करेगी, हालांकि आज उसका खंडन आ गया है। लेकिन ये जो माहौल एक तरह का बन रहा है, क्या आपको लगता है कि ये एक हिंदुत्व को एक तरह से बढ़ाने वाली बात है और एक जोश पूरे देश में हिंदुत्व का आ गया है और उफान जैसा आ गया है?
ये तो ऋणात्मक तरीका होगा। हम नहीं चाहते हैं कि हमारे देश में हिंदुत्व के लिए किसी को के प्रति नफरत पैदा करनी है। हमारी हिंदुत्व क्या है और हमारे आचरण में इसको कैसे जोड़ सकते हैं, वो है हम चाहते हैं। हमें इसमें कोई हिंदुत्व के लिए, हिंदू के लिए कोई लाभ नहीं होगा कि हम नफरत पैदा करें दूसरे के प्रति।
जी
मैं कहता हूं कि राम मंदिर में हमने नफरत नहीं फैलाई, हाँ जो जरूर तोड़ दिया था। अब जब इतनी बड़ी भीड़ आएगी और यानी उसको रोका नहीं, उसको तो आने के पहले ही सारी सड़क को बंद करना चाहिए था, बट नरसिम्हा राव सरकार ने नहीं बंद की, तो लोग पहुंच गए लाखों में। उसके बाद कैसे रोक सकते हैं कि वो जब, और वो कहते हैं हमने मस्जिद तोड़ा ही नहीं, वो कहते हैं वो मंदिर था। 1949 के बाद वहां एक दिन भी नमाज नहीं पढ़ी गई थी बाबरी मस्जिद में, सिर्फ पूजा हुई। पहले तो गेट वेट सब लगती थी और बाहर से आपको देखना था। जब राजीव गांधी ने वो ताला भी खोल दिया, सब अंदर जा करके पूजा करने लगे। तो वो मंदिर था, उस मंदिर पूरा नया मंदिर बनानी थी तो तोड़ दिया, ऐसा कहते हैं। इसीलिए ये लोग छुट गए सब, आडवाणी, ये किसी को दंड नहीं मिला। तो मैं ये कहता हूं कि हम उसमें मत जाए। हम चाहते हैं कि हमने ठीक किया नहीं किया, वो अंबेडकर की बात मानना ठीक था और बाकी लोगों का नहीं था, ऐसा कुछ इस विवाद में मैं नहीं जा रहा हूं। आज 15% या 14% जो जनसंख्या है हमारे देश में वो मुसलमान है, और वो सब हमारे ही खून के हैं, उनका डीएनए हमारे ही है। उनको जबरदस्ती मुसलमान पहले बनाया गया, अभी तो वो अपनी इच्छा से मुसलमान है। तो मैं कहता हूँ कि ठीक है, तुम इस रास्ते से पूजा करो, हम इस रास्ते से पूजा करेंगे, परंतु जहाँ राष्ट्रहित है और जहाँ अन्याय हुआ है उसको ठीक करना है। आप कौन नहीं कह सकता है कि कोई भी थोड़ा भी अक्ल है तो कहेगा कि जो जिस तरीके से मंदिर को तोड़ा गया औरंगजेब में, वो तो घोर अन्याय है। और हमें मस्जिद नमाज पढ़ने के लिए हम कहीं और पढ़ लेंगे, बट ये मंदिर दोबारा होनी चाहिए, ऐसा मुसलमान बोलेंगे तो बहुत अच्छा होगा। परंतु उसमें कई लोगों का जो राजनीतिक लाभ है उसमें उसको तो नष्ट होगा। तो मैं ये कहता हूं कि आज हम किसी इसमें नहीं जा रहे हैं कि हिंदुत्व ये वो। हिंदुत्व क्या है? हिंदुत्व सब गुण है। हिंदुत्व का क्या, सारे रास्ते से भगवान प्राप्त हो, आपके कर्म के कारण आपको फल मिलेगा, इस जीवन में नहीं मिलेगा तो अगले जीवन में मिलेगा। ब्राह्मण वही होता है जो ज्ञानी, त्यागी और साहसी है, या बुद्धिशाली है, जो जो भी ये सब गुण हैं, पैदा जहाँ हुए हैं वो उससे आपकी वर्णा नहीं बनती है। विश्वामित्र क्षत्रिय घर में पैदा हुए परंतु महर्षि बने। वेद व्यासा की माँ मछुआरा थी फिर भी वो महर्षि बने। तो ये हम लोग किसी, हमारी डीएनए सब एक ही है, इसीलिए ब्राह्मण क्षत्रिय इसमें कोई फर्क नहीं है, सिर्फ पेशा में फर्क है। इस तरीके से हम हिंदुत्व बना रहे हैं, किसी के प्रति हम टारगेट बना के नहीं कर रहे हैं, किसी को निशाना हमें डालकर हम नहीं कर रहे हैं।
जगदीश
He's not come back.
Okay, I think Jagdish has some audio problem. So we'll wind up the program. Though, of course, there are many questions viewers have been asking about the Gyan Vapi issue, and Dr. Swamy has today put everything in perspective and given the solution, which is a single important solution in the hands of BJP government. And Dr. Swamy, thank you very much, because what you have said is very, very positive. And you said Hindutva does not mean hatred towards any section. This is one very, very positive thing what you have said, that you do not want swelling in support of Hindutva just because on the lines of hatred towards any other community. This is a very positive sign. Unfortunately, there are some people who are taking this line, and those who want to create a bad blood between the communities, and in order to seek the support. But anyway, thank you very much. But just let me, before I wind up, let me just tell you one more issue. The Vyas family, which has been managing this temple for 10 generations, has raised this issue yesterday, that
Which
they
which
also,
which which temple? Which temple?
yes, the Kashi Vishwanath, the
No,
Gyan
there's no
Vapi,
Kashi. There's no Kashi Vishwanath.
Gyan Vapi, Gyan Vapi.
No,
Gyan Vapi,
no. There is one which Ahilya Bai built. She said that, I'm not going to demolish this masjid and build the temple again, because somebody else will come and again do the same thing. So I'll build another temple nearby till we reach a situation where we can build the original
yeah,
temple.
yeah.
So that is not the original temple,
Yes, or
which is
not original
presently.
temple, but for 10 generations, the original temple was under the Vyas family, and Vyas family has now claimed that in the basement they have a property dispute. They have given a paper of 1854, which says they are the owners. So maybe
Yeah.
this new angle will also be added now.
No. The issue is 1991 Act. That must go first. Everything else will not bear fruit to get the temple property back until this is out of the way.
So now the ball is in the hands of Supreme Court of 8 weeks.
Or Narendra Modi.
Or Narendra Modi. After 8 weeks only, we'll know. Within 8 weeks, maybe if Narendra Modi government acts, maybe well and good. Thank you, Dr. Swamy. Thank you, Jagdish ji. Thank you, Ramesh Swamy ji. Thanks the technical team led by Ashish Shetty, Gadgi Rakesh, Ishwar Iyer, Swaminathan, Tejas Navalgul, Vishal Mehta, and Najesh Nair, without whose support this program is not possible. Thank you very much. Thank you, viewers, for supporting us in more than 40 countries. Thank you. We will be meeting next Sunday again, 8 p.m. IST, with a new topic and Dr. Subramanian Swamy, and if required, maybe a new expert. Thank you very much. Next Sunday, 8 p.m. Till then, Namaskar. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.